Be careful what you put in your body. In 2014, a couple returned to their home to find it trashed in baffling ways. There was lotion all over the door handles, all of their shoes had had their soles ripped off of them, and someone had dumped an entire can of paint all over the toilet. Despite the obvious break-in, the police come and can't find any evidence of theft, so they leave thinking the couple's not in danger anymore. That night, the couple hears scratching underneath their bed and what sounds like a crying animal. Not wanting to find out what it was, they leave and call the cops, who come right back and start investigating the house, and they make a startling discovery in their bedroom. Wedged underneath the couple's bed was this 90-pound tiny little woman carrying a huge butcher's knife and a hypodermic needle. As they're taking this crazy lady away in handcuffs, one of the officers comes over to the couple and is like, so she was high on meth, and for at least 2 hours, she had been burrowing a hole in the underside of your mattress with that knife to get to you.
Guys, have you heard of true, scary story of Manananggal? It's a very terrifying creature from Philippines. The Manananggal is a vampire-like monster that can separate its upper body from its lower body with bat-like wings. It flies into the night in search of prey, especially pregnant women. Story goes like this. One dark and stormy night in a small village, a woman named Aling Rosa was alone at home. Her husband had gone to the city, leaving her by herself. She was heavily pregnant and nearing her due date. As the wind howled outside, she heard a strange flapping noise. Nervous, Aling Rosa checked all the windows and doors to make sure they were locked. Suddenly, she heard a scratching sound on the roof. Her heart pounded as she realized what it could be. The Manananggal was trying to get in. Quickly, she spread salt around the windows and placed garlic cloves near the doors. The flapping and scratching grew louder, and Aling Rosa could hear the creature's eerie, shrill laughter. It tried to find a way in, but the salt and garlic kept it at bay. After what felt like hours, the first light of dawn appeared, and the Manananggal screeched in defeat, flying away to reattach to its lower body before sunrise. Shaken but safe, Aling Rosa knew she had narrowly escaped the clutches of the terrifying Manananggal. How would you rate this story on a scale of 1 to 10? Share your rating in comments.
This photo is of the Cincinnati crawler. It was taken by a family who caught him in their home in 1974, but he escaped shortly afterwards. So in 1974, the Johnson family in Cincinnati noticed a couple weird things happening in their home. The 14-year-old daughter, Claire, would complain about seeing glowing eyes outside of her window at night. And then one night, the youngest son, Timmy, was laying in bed in the dark when he felt the family dog jump up onto his bed. But when he went to go pet it, it was not the dog. It was the crawler, who police still believe was responsible for the disappearance of 4 other boys in the area. Some believe that he was an escaped convict, while others actually believe that he was the victim of human experiments happening in the area that may have been conducted by the family's dad. Claire snapped this photo of him before he escaped, but he was never found since.
Most terrifying urban legends from around the world. In 1978, a girl named Catherine went missing after she heard strange noises coming from the woods behind her backyard. Her sister said Catherine heard the voice of their mother calling to her, but something about this voice sounded distorted and wrong. That was one of the first sightings of Siren Head, a tall humanoid creature with unusually long limbs and 2 siren speakers attached to his head with human mouths inside. This allows the Siren Head to play the voices of its victims' families to lure them in. This creature is usually found in rural places and small towns, making it easier to blend into the environment and disguise itself between the trees or as a telephone pole. So remember, next time you hear the voice of a family member coming from an unusual place, don't go investigating. And follow for more stories.
My top 10 favorite occult horror movies of all time. Occult horror movies typically focus on paganism, mysticism, Satanism, or psychic phenomenon. But these movies have equally terrified me and entertained me throughout the years. But before we get into the movies, I am going to say one thing. That this is my own personal list, and if you don't like or agree with it, well, like I always say, it's time to make your own list. Number 10, Angel Heart. This movie is about a private detective that's been contracted to track down an iconic singer named Johnny Favorite. However, anyone that the detective questions about Johnny Favorite seems to meet an untimely and mysterious death. Eventually, the trail will lead him to New Orleans, where he will learn that Johnny Favorite was dabbling in the dark arts. As Johnny Favorite's whereabouts and true identity start to become clear, he will learn that he was hired by this man, not by coincidence. This movie is shrouded in mystery and black magic that kept me on the edge of my seat. Suspenseful and creepy, I would highly recommend checking out Angel Heart. And if you would like to check this one out, here's a list where this one is currently streaming to rent. Number 9, The Wicker Man. This movie follows a lawman that travels to a secluded island to search for a girl who's gone missing. Once there, he discovers a sinister force at work with the island's secretive residents, including strange sexual rituals, a harvest festival, and a possible human sacrifice. I'm not gonna lie, I personally prefer the 2006 remake over the original. I've tried watching the original so many times, and halfway through I end up just turning it off. But this one is where it's at. The third act of this movie goes hard, and we as an audience dive into absolute folk horror. If you would like to check this one out, here's a list of where this one is currently streaming to rent. Number 8, The Neon Demon. This movie follows a young girl that is an aspiring model. When she begins to gain notoriety, the other models become jealous and envious of her youth and vitality, and they will go to extreme lengths to get just an ounce of what she has. This movie is a bit of a slow burn, but it's visually an artistic masterpiece with a killer soundtrack. It's also one of those movies that you think you know which direction this is going in, and it completely just fucking blindsides you. And trust me, by the end of this movie, you're gonna be like, what the fuck did I just watch? If you would like to check this one out, here's a list of where this one is currently streaming. Number 7, The Serpent and the Rainbow. This movie stars Bill Pullman, who travels to Haiti to study a voodoo drug that's used in religious practices. Essentially, this drug turns its victims into living zombies. And now he and a fellow researcher will begin to piece together this deadly mystery. They will find themselves fighting for their very lives. I saw this movie for the first time when I was like 12 years old, and I'm not gonna lie, it definitely gave me nightmares when I first saw it. A lot of the imagery is just completely horrific and nightmarish. So of course, I'm gonna highly recommend checking out The Serpent and the Rainbow. And if you would like to check this one out, here's the list where this one is currently streaming. Number 6, Rosemary's Baby. Rosemary and her husband moved to a New York City apartment with an ominous reputation, and very strange and odd neighbors. But when Rosemary becomes pregnant, she becomes increasingly isolated and paranoid. She'll begin to believe that her offspring is not of this world, but something that is far more diabolical. This movie's a classic that relies heavily on storytelling and dreadful atmosphere. Rosemary's Baby is anxiety-inducing, and it even makes us as the audience feel paranoid just like the character. They are even coming out with a prequel called Apartment 7A, which I'm pretty stoked about. But if you would like to check out the original Rosemary's Baby, here's the list of where this one is currently streaming. Number 5, Starry Eyes. This movie's about a struggling aspiring actress in Los Angeles. After bombing multiple auditions, she is completely stoked when she gets a call back for a horror movie called The Silver Scream. But at her audition, they make her do some questionable things that go against her principles. But once she gives in, her true transformation to stardom can begin. The transformation is deadly. This movie starts off slow, but it progressively keeps getting more creepier and ominous. And it is body horror at its finest. So just to be transparent, this movie is not going to be for people with weak stomachs, because it's pretty fucking disgusting and just brutal. The payoff to me personally was fucking epic. I don't think this movie gets talked about or mentioned enough, and it definitely doesn't get the love that it deserves. So yes, I would highly recommend checking out Starry Eyes. And if you would like to check this one out, here's a list where this one is currently streaming. Of course, I want to share what my top 4 favorite occult horror movies of all time are, but I think I'm going to pause it right here. But don't worry, because I will be posting a part 2 relatively soon. But for right now, what do you guys think of the movies that I recommended in this video? If you guys have seen any of them, I would love to know what your thoughts are in the comments.
Never do this. If you ever see these clowns in your living room, leave your house immediately, trust me. I explain all this in the video, but don't forget to subscribe, like, and share the video. You share your birthday with 20 million people. Comment with your birthday to see how many people share the same birthday as you. In the United States and Germany, clowns are increasingly appearing in homes in the evenings between 11 p.m. and 2 a.m. That evening, Martin, a young father of 35, was returning from a restaurant with his wife and 4-year-old child when he saw these clowns in their living room, standing and staring with a very disturbing look. These clowns are currently and actively being searched for by the police and Interpol, but without success because they are demonic spirits from a distant era that have resurfaced for no valid reason. And the worst part is that they are not here to give you gifts or a Starbucks. If they're here, it's for a good reason, but I can't explain it here. Comment. Part 2 inches so I can tell you a bit more about them.
He was just visiting the zoo when he sees this. A man was visiting a zoo in Onesti, Romania, when he stumbled across a hidden animal exhibit. What looks like a humanoid creature can be seen caged up and concealed in a small dark building surrounded by security guards. The zoo was closed shortly after as it failed to comply with the new animal welfare regulations, and many animals were mistreated. However, some people believe this is part of a cover-up, and they were indeed doing some sort of humanoid experiments in the facility. But let me know what you think.
This mansion in California is one of the most haunted places in the country. Hello, my name is Sarah Winchester. You may have heard of the Winchester Mystery Mansion in San Jose, but here is how it all came to be. I was born in Connecticut in 1839. I got married to William Winchester, the son of Oliver Winchester, a well-known politician and businessman. His main business was the Winchester Repeating Arms Company, which supplied both sides of the West, the colonizers and the indigenous. That business decision put a curse on the family from all the lives that were taken using their product. Me and my husband had a baby, and shortly after birth, our daughter passed away from health problems. Then a few years later, both my parents, as well as my husband's father, all passed away. And then the following year, my husband did too. I met with a spiritual advisor, and she told me, the spirits of those who lost their lives from the Winchester Arms Company were haunting me. Like and follow for part 2.
I am the reason why you should not walk outside in South Dakota at night. Hello, my name is Walking Sam, or the Tall Man. I roam around the Pine Ridge Indian Reservation, where 103 self-exits were attempted in 2014. Many of the Lakota people believe I am the cause of these tragedies. This is because I am cursed to walk this world forever, and I do not want to be alone. So to cope, I hang out near the dark roads of South Dakota at night, and whistle to lure victims closer. I mainly target teenagers who are feeling lost or depressed, and if they get close enough, I will be standing there, 7 feet tall, holding my arms out, with all my previous victim spirits hanging underneath like decorations. My presence is hypnotic, and I will get into your head and tell you that you are worthless, and do not belong in the land of the living. Once you are in my presence, it is most likely too late and will take a miracle to survive. So to make sure this doesn't happen to you, always remember.
A man had been hearing voices coming from the basement of his house when he accidentally captured something horrifying.
Hello? I'm gonna turn on the light. Alright? Hello? Hello? No. Okay. I heard something. Nothing? Is anyone there? Whoa, Jesus!
YouTuber Millennial Bro had grown concerned about hearing strange noises coming from the basement of his Ohio home. Every time he would go to investigate, he would find nothing out of the ordinary until this day. After witnessing the clothing rack move on its own and capturing it on camera, he said the voices subsided until one day he started hearing them again.
I heard some noises again. Hello?
Millennial Bro has yet to post anything related to the paranormal since this day. People have since flooded the comments after seeing his video featured in many paranormal countdowns. He says that since he posted these videos, the activity was far less frequent, and he eventually decided to move out of the house. Could this be a real paranormal capture, or is it just another clever hoaxer determined to fool us all? What do you believe?
I heard some noises again. Hello?
Do you know the real story behind Peppa Pig? The real story of Peppa Pig comes from an abandoned pig farm turned into a makeshift hospital. Peppa has that creepy blank stare because a terrible chemical leak at the abandoned factory released toxins that permanently blinded her. They gave her those crude plastic eyes, but she's blind behind them. Pedro Pony wasn't always a pony. He was a pig who got his belly sliced open on a broken trough. The farm hands hastily stitched him up. They started calling him Pedro the Pony to mock his hideous stitches. Susie Sheep was actually a pig too. A crazed mummy pig kicked her in the head repeatedly, misshaping her skull into that freakishly oblong shape. That's why her head looks so bizarrely deformed. Speaking of Mummy Pig, she went completely insane from the conditions on the farm. She was finally put down and rendered into lard to grease the machinery. Daddy Pig's oinks and snorts were his attempts to cry for his wife, but it just came out as anguished animal noises. The most tragic tale of all, you know how George always says, "Dine saw, dine saw." Those weren't dinosaur sounds at all. It's his shattered mind trying to repress being forced to literally dine on scraps while watching farmhands dismember pigs, cows, and sheep with rusted sauce. Follow for more dark origin stories.
The fact that pure evil like this exists is terrifying, that human beings of blood relation can take advantage of a mentally challenged person. This gets so out of control that you have to see it to believe it, and it's absolutely despicable. I'm Chuck. I'd love to be your movie guy. Hit the like button. Give me a follow. This is Goodnight Sugar Babe. Vera Jo's life was affected by drug addiction, poverty, neglect, and severe abuse. She was found murdered on train tracks in 2011, and the town finally got to see the despicable people who were supposed to be caring for her. Her father was sentenced to prison for abuse when she was 11, and she was put into different placements over the years, and it was never with good people. There is so much to this story. With her place in the family that she was put into was inbred and full of incest, who believed in neglect and abuse. And the events that happened around this woman are absolutely horrifying, and it raises so many questions. Like, whenever people need put in placement, how much work are they putting into to see where they're putting you? Because they put people into places of abuse, and not to put people in from one bad situation into a situation that's twice as bad. And sometimes human beings get lost in a pile of paperwork and removed from a bad situation and put into one that's more horrific than words could ever describe. This documentary made me so fucking angry, and there's so many things that you just have to watch it, because you're not going to believe how fucked up these people are and how true it really is that people like this exist. I'm Chuck. I'd love to be your movie guy. Hit the like button. Give me a follow.
The true story behind Annabelle, Part 5. In 1970, renowned paranormal investigators Ed and Lorraine Warren interviewed the two nurses, Deidre and her roommate, to see if they could figure out what the Raggedy Ann doll was hiding from them. The Warrens were horrified when they heard that they were treating Annabelle like a real girl, because they knew exactly what she really was.
There's a spirit of a 6-year-old girl in that doll who was killed in an automobile accident just outside of your apartment house here. Well, there was a 6-year-old child by the name of Annabelle who was killed, but God does not allow the spirit of a child to go into a doll. This was a demon.
The Warrens conclude that an exorcism is necessary, a Catholic dangerous ritual that Ed is uniquely qualified to perform within the church. The Warrens decide to take Annabelle for safekeeping. On their way home, the Warrens' car suddenly breaks down. As they try to fix it, they turn around to see Annabelle floating in the back seat.
This isn't over. You can't hide from me. Follow for more dark origin stories.
Fam, have you heard that a billionaire has just been caught hiding the last Titanoboa? Yo, check this out. So the Titanoboa is the deadliest snake that ever existed. It is said to measure up to 20 meters long and can easily crush its prey. Everyone thought that this creature was extinct. However, rumors began to circulate that a famous billionaire named Kelsey Warren might be hiding the last Titanoboa. It started when Kelsey posted a tweet with a huge snake visible in the background. People wondered if it was the last Titanoboa. The FBI got involved and searched Kelsey's massive jungle-side mansion. They couldn't find anything suspicious at first, but then they discovered a small door with a rusty sign. Bro, what they found next was insane, a 20-meter Titanoboa chained in a cage. One agent filmed it before they took the evidence. Follow us, share this, and our team will send you the mind-blowing photos and video of the last Titanoboa.
Mommy? Did you brush your teeth? Yes. You're scaring me, Mom. Dad, where's Mommy?
Mommy's not here with us anymore, son.
Yes, she is. I just seen her.
Where?
In the hallway, she asked if I cleaned up my room.
Son, get over here!
Como é que pode? Abrir o portão, mano.
Eu, sinceramente, eu não tô acreditando nisso não, que eu tô vendo. Sinceramente.
Oh my God! Oh my God! Oh my God! Oh my God!
This child was missing since 2019 and has been found alive underneath the staircase. 4-year-old girl named Paisley Schultes was removed from custody of her biological parents along with her sister. Although it has not been revealed on why her parents Kim Cooper and Colk Schultes were no longer legally allowed to look over their own daughters. In July of 2019, Paisley suddenly vanished from her family home while her older sister was at school. She had been living near Ithaca, New York. Although the police strongly suspected her biological parents, they had no proof at all proving this. The police were actually able to search the parents' property, but they denied having anything to do with their daughter's mysterious disappearance. And the police could not find Paisley inside despite thoroughly looking. However, years later in 2022, the police received a tip that Paisley could still be in the house after all, and was being held in a secret hidden location. At first, it seemed nothing was off about the property at all. But after about an hour, one of the detectives noticed something odd about the stairs. And acting on gut instinct, the officer looked a little closer and eventually found a small hiding place. And when they were able to get closer and get a better look, they found Paisley hiding in the little small space. Paisley's parents were then charged with custodial interference and endangering the welfare of a child.
How fucked up is the end of the world really going to be? I would assume it's going to be incredibly fucked up. I'm Chuck. I'd love to be your movie guy. Hit the like button, give me a follow, and this is Fucked Up Tales from the End Times. It's an anthology series that's been on my radar for a while. It's 5 directors coming together with the stories of the end of the world. It's Ben Harrell, Josh Bruckner, John Eisberg, Dylan Brown, and Ash Hamilton. You could read the poster to see their films, but they are visionary directors, a lot of found footage. That's what this is. And listen, the trailer for this just dropped and it absolutely fucking rips. It's so unsettling. It's creepy. And listen, I'm trying to put this on your radar because Fucked Up Tales from the End Times looks like it could be an absolute fucking banger. I'm pretty obsessed with end of the world lore and cults and things like that, and this seems to have a copious amount of all of it mixed together. So I figured I would do my due diligence, that I would bring this to you, put it on your radar. But this is Fucked Up Tales from the End Times. You can go over to YouTube and you can watch the trailer and you will not be disappointed, because this movie is going to be fucked up. I'm Chuck. I'd love to be your movie guy. Hit the like button. Give me a follow.
They were working the night shift when this is captured. 2 hospital workers in Dallas, Texas were working the night shift, and while cleaning a section of the hospital where many patients claim to hear ghostly voices late at night, they hear this.
Did you hear her?
Yes.
You hear her?
لو أسير من زوجك وقت الموت.
She probably thinks I'm her mom. That was you.
No, I swear to God. Was that something?
The faint voice of a woman can be heard weeping somewhere nearby. The woman who uploaded this footage explains that she's experienced many inexplicable events while in the area. So could this really be a trapped soul bound by a traumatic passing in that hospital? I'll let you decide.
Never do this. This boy was waiting for his washing machine to finish so he could do his laundry, but he saw something terrifying at the end of his hallway, and his biggest mistake was going to check it out. I'll show you what the creature looks like at the end of the video, but stay tuned until the end, as this kind of creature is increasingly seen in our world right now, and it's chilling. It's neither a skinwalker nor a Wendigo, but something much more demonic and powerful. And this person is going to come face to face with this creature. I can only protect my subscribers who have commented their first name and shared the video with a friend. What would you have done if you had come across this kind of paranormal phenomenon? Personally, I would have gone to cry at my mom's house. Here's the end of the video. It's chilling.
Malicious people paid $100 on the dark web to see this video because it's a red room, live videos to hurt innocent people. They were all sleeping together when a ghost took possession of his girlfriend.
Oh, he's nailing the door shut. He's nailing the fucking door shut. He has a freaking drill in his head. He locked us in the basement. Oh my god. He locked us in the fucking... He's nailing the door shut. Dude, what the fuck? We just made the biggest mistake ever. He just nailed the door shut. The dude that tried to hurt us before is upstairs walking around. You guys can hear him. He knows we're down here. There's no way out. We're fucked. Hello, sir? We're just trying to film a video here. We mean you no harm.
Guys, I've been coming here every fucking week. Every day. Where's my bag?
This is our first time here. We don't know what you're talking about. It's our first time here.
I'm not trying to hurt you. Ah! Holy shit. I'm not joking around.
Fuck's sake.
I'm just looking for my hammer.
He's looking for his hammer. Jesus fucking Christ. He's looking for his hammer. That means he's not armed yet, bro. We have the bat. Guys, I kid you not. Guys, my anxiety is through the roof right now. I get very...
A woman is home alone when this is captured.
How did you... How did you get out there? Okay, let's try this again. There's no way that this is a thing. I don't think you understand. There is zero way that she could unlock that, open it, shut it, and lock it.
After moving into her new home, Sierra Mist began to realize that something wasn't right.
Alone again, and I am hearing noises again, and it's kind of freaking me out. So I am making this video just in case. And eating ice, because, you know, I'm pregnant, like, that was, but that sounded different than the noise that I was talking about. What? Now, I know you didn't do that. That was right there. I don't understand. This door was literally just open.
After the strange phenomena, she continues to set up her home over the next few days, and the following events are captured.
I swear if this is happening again, let me show you. And yes, these windows are open, but let me show you this. See that? This isn't... How?
After a ton of comments suggesting she set up cameras, she does exactly that. Following events were captured as her fiance and sister were setting up one of the rooms.
Oh! Where did you drop it?
On the paper.
Oh my god.
What was that?
What the hell?
She now says that she, her husband, and her sister all became believers of the paranormal overnight. What do you believe?
Oh my god.
What was that?
I don't know what this ghost problem is, but I'm watching you.
What the hell?
So this next story was sent in by Anonymous on Instagram, so shout out Anonymous. Hello, I follow you on TikTok and I would like to share my story. I'd like to stay anonymous. I don't want to say my name. This is my story. Last year when I was 11, I went to the park with around 8 to 10 friends, and when it was night, we all decided to go to my friend's house. Her house was only 2 houses away from the park, and when we got to her house, weird stuff happened, and my friend that lived there told us that one of her relatives passed away and comes back to haunt them from time to time. After she told us that, I felt bad and I was so scared that I ran back to the park. This was around 9 p.m. and I couldn't walk home because my home was 20 minutes away by car. I called my mom and asked her to come pick me up, and when she picked me up, I told her everything that happened at my friend's house. When we got home, I was so scared that I asked my mom if she could do the egg blessing. After my mom did it, she told me something that I still can't get out of my mind till this day. She said she saw an old man in the cracked egg. Her relative that passed away was an old man. This still creeps me out to this day.
This movie is so good and so underrated. Let's do it. The Bay opens up with telling us that the footage that we're about to see was confiscated by the government, but it has been leaked by an anonymous source. So the format of this movie, we see found footage from the events of July 4th, 2009, and simultaneously we are getting an interview with Donna Thompson, who was there that day and filmed most of the events. So the Bay takes place in Claridge, Maryland, which is a small beach town on the Chesapeake Bay. Donna Thompson is a college student, and she's a rookie reporter who's covering the 4th of July festivities in the town because it's like their biggest holiday. We learned that the town, and specifically the mayor, John Stockman, have been under fire recently for polluting the Chesapeake Bay. Specifically, there is a nearby chicken farm that dumps like thousands of pounds of chicken shit into the bay. So we see this montage of people from the town like in the pool and the sprinklers in the bay. Don is covering this crab eating contest, and all of a sudden everybody becomes violently ill. We see this woman wandering around screaming, and she is covered in all these skin lesions. And eventually a bunch of people start breaking out in these lesions too. So then we cut to the hospital and we meet Dr. Jack Abrams, who is the head doctor of the Atlantic Hospital. He starts seeing all these patients with these crazy like lesions and blister and has no idea what it is, so he contacts the CDC. So he's going back and forth with the CDC. At first they think it's some sort of viral outbreak. Meanwhile, back in town, we just see utter chaos. We get footage of a few different people, including this teenage girl, Jennifer. She's on FaceTime with her friend, showing her all of her rashes. We see footage of this other guy who shows his stomach, and it looks like something's like trying to get out of him. Like his stomach is moving. It's very unnatural and gross. Present day Donna, while doing this interview, keeps referencing the oceanographers. And we learned that a couple months prior to the July 4th incident, there were these 2 oceanographers who were studying the water in the bay. We see their footage, and it's revealed that they actually discovered high toxicity levels in the water. So they start pulling fish out of the bay, and they find that most of these fish are eviscerated from the inside out. And a big thing is that they're all missing their tongues. Like their tongues have been eaten out. And they discover that there is these outbreak amongst the fish of these like tongue-eating isopods. So now we learn that these isopods have evolved to affect humans in the same way. And that's due to the high levels of chicken waste that's being dumped into the bay because the chickens are being fed steroids. So these isopods have been killing off millions of fish, and 40% of the bay is now lifeless. So upon putting all of this together, the 2 oceanographers tried to reach out to the mayor, and it said that there is no record that he ever responded. At this point in the movie, we already know that the 2 oceanographers died because in the beginning we got footage of them pulling their bodies out of the water, and it was kind of labeled as a shark attack, but we see what really happens, and they went into the bay to investigate, and they ended up swimming into a full school of full-grown isopods. And basically they ripped them apart and they died. Intertwined with all this, we also see this home video footage of this family. So it's this woman, Stephanie, her husband, Alex, and their young son, Andrew. And they're going to see Stephanie's family who lives in Claridge. As they're sailing to Claridge, they don't have any cell phone service because we see that Stephanie's mother actually tried to call her to tell her, me and your father are in the hospital. They have to amputate his leg and I have lesions too. So don't fucking come here. Something is spreading. But of course, she never gets that voicemail, and Alex, the husband, swims in the bay. We see some other footage of these 2 police deputies who answer a 911 call. One of the officers, Officer Jimson, goes inside the house and finds this family completely infected and dying, begging to be put out of their misery. We just hear the audio, we don't see what's happening inside, but it's utter chaos, and ultimately Jimson mercy kills the family. And then he also kills Officer Paul after Paul is bit by one of the isopods. Jimson is then confronted by Mayor Stockman and the sheriff. We see that Jimson is now completely covered in lesions, and he kind of goes crazy and shoots the sheriff and kills him, and then turns the gun on himself. Stockman, the mayor, tries to flee in the car but ends up being hit by another car and dies. And there's words that come up on the screen saying he might have lived, but there were no emergency services available at the time. Meanwhile, everybody at the hospital is rapidly dying. Dr. Abrams is completely helpless, and the CDC learns that the water in Claridge is radioactive, but it's gone completely unreported. They also learn about the mutated isopods, and they end up contacting the White House. And they also tell Dr. Abrams, like, no help is coming, so it's best that you and your staff leave. To which Dr. Abrams is like, all my staff have either left or died. I am the only one left. However, Dr. Abrams realizes that he is also infected. So knowing that death is imminent, he uses his last few hours to record the bodies and the deaths in the hospital. One of which is Jennifer, that teenage girl that we met earlier. Meanwhile, we see in the CDC office, they contact the Department of Homeland Security, who admits that the oceanographers also sent them the same reports that they sent to the mayor, but they too ignored it because they didn't want to cause panic. Well, look at what you fucking did now. And they basically refuse to offer any help due to Claridge being such a small town, so it's like not going to get any attention. Mind you, Donna and her cameraman are still alive through all of this. Her station's blog and news reports, however, have been shut down, and she's aware of this now. In her present-day interview, Donna explains how they fled the town and her cameraman died. And she herself has not reported anything since the incident because she's like so traumatized from it, obviously. And then we see Stephanie, Alex, and the baby show up to town completely unaware of what's going on. And of course they show up and the town is completely deserted. And not only deserted, there are bodies littered all over the street. They go into this furniture store to regroup, but all of a sudden Alex starts screaming in pain and he feels something crawling under his skin, and sure enough, an isopod pops out of his fucking neck and he dies. And it's because he swam in the bay earlier. Stephanie is able to escape with the baby and they get into a cop car. However, before they're able to drive away, an infected woman pops up out of the back seat. It's a huge fucking jump scare. Stephanie pushes her off and manages to run away with the baby. In the present-day interview, Donna reveals that the government managed to kill off the isopods by dumping a ridiculous amount of chlorine into the bay, and they covered up the whole incident as a result of unusually high water temperatures that summer. They also confiscated all the video footage that everybody took, and they paid off the very few remaining survivors, including Donna. Donna tells us that Stephanie and her baby ended up surviving, but Stephanie did not want to take part in the film. And the movie ends with shots of people present day swimming in the bay, completely unaware of what lurks underneath.
What the fuck is this? 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 What the fuck is Abruptio? I'm Chuck. I'd love to be your movie guy. Hit the like button, give me a follow. And Abruptio is apparently a film that came out in 2023. It did a festival circuit, but now I can't find any release information, how to get it, how to watch it, and I am absolutely obsessed because this movie's done entirely with puppets. And look at the cast, the entire voice cast: Jordan Peele, Robert Englund, Sid Haig, holy shit, as puppets! This is one of the most frightening things I've ever seen. Apparently, Abruptio's about this guy Lex who's down on his luck and he wakes up one morning with an explosive device in his neck and he has to do all these heinous things in order to stay alive. And it's all puppets. Jordan Peele, Sid Haig, Robert Englund. I need to see this film. Abruptio. 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 It's stuck in my head. Abruptio. Abruptio. If you know anything about it, drop it in the comments. Are you excited for this? Oh, it's through the roof, my excitement. I have to see this. Puppets, this looks like a fucking banger. I'm Chuck. I'd love to be your movie guy. Hit the like button. Give me a follow. Creepy fucking puppet.